One thing I see in organizations all the time is alleged insights turning out not to be real or genuine insights. And one of the reasons why this happens is that we don't have a shared set of attributes of what constitutes a real or genuine or valid insight. So let me give you the 6 attributes that I consider critical to determining whether or not an alleged insight is a real insight. I'm going to use a technology insight that we created in work 3 or 4 years ago as a case example here. A set of emerging technologies, if they progressed in a specific direction and converged over time, 3 years in fact, could open up a whole new market space and would render obsolete all of the leading products in that market context. That was the technology insight created by a particular company. First key attribute of an insight, new understanding. Does the insight convey fundamental new understanding compared to our old understanding? In the technology case, we were shocked at the new understanding that was involved. It completely eradicated a set of assumptions upon which we were building the business. Second attribute, novelty. Is it new to us and new to those outside? The more novel the insight, the more likely its value. Obviousness, third attribute. If it's counterintuitive, it's likely to be a more significant and more valuable insight. The technology case was completely counterintuitive because we had expected individual technologies to proceed separately and not to converge. Fourth attribute, congruence. Is the insight congruent with the existing environment, emerging or potential environment? This is obviously fundamental to any insight. The critical question here, we have to focus in on making sure that we are assessing the external context of the insight and not just the insight itself. So as we looked at the technology insight, we were now monitoring what was happening with a set of related technologies, a set of companies in the industry and outside, to ensure that the insight as originally articulated was congruent with what was happening in the environment. Fifth attribute, explanatory. Does it explain things that go beyond merely description? The technology insight explained why certain competitors were making particular kinds of investments and why certain futures that had been envisaged by people in and around the industry were more likely to happen than we had expected. Final attribute, enduring. If the technology insight endures for 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's likely to be much more valuable to us as decision makers than if it endures only for a month or 2. Customer and consumer insight often do not endure more than 3 or 4, 6 or 8 months. Valuable during that period, but not over the longer term. So this is the set of 6 criteria that we use to assess whether or not an alleged insight is truly a real or genuine and therefore valuable insight.